Welcome to CandleLight Audiobooks. The Secret Misses. Chapter 131. Seeing he had come, Emma's expression instantly turned coy. "It's your fault, you wore me out." "Hey, you were the one who came on to me," Liam said helplessly. He lifted the plastic bag he was holding in one hand. "I bought chicken congee so that you can recover your strength since you're always complaining you're tired. Don't tease me." The second scene was a follow-up to the previous one, and was a fight in the bamboo forest. Jenna Wilson thought that Ella Smith had become a demon. She wouldn't listen to anything she said. After a short hesitation, she was ready to kill her on the spot to avoid any future trouble. After being instructed by the stunt director for over 2 hours, the two persons were finally more or less ready. At first, the director had been prepared to use stunt doubles, but Luna was good at martial arts, and had even been a stunt double for other people before, so she certainly didn't need it, while Emma also said she wanted to do it herself. Naturally, David also wanted a better film effect, so he agreed. The professional stunt master helped the two of them into the wire rigs, and checked them many times to make sure that there was no risk at all. Then the shoot started. "Ella is dead." Jenna closed her eyes and said it with pain and regret. Standing before her was just a beautiful and dangerous shell, a lethal weapon which would destroy the world. In the next second, the eyes of Jenna became violently murderous, and she swiftly drew the long sword from her waist and attacked Ella. Ella seemed to have already anticipated her move, and her stance was calm and leisurely. It was only when the sword was a hair's breadth away from her nose that she glided backwards like a bird, her arms spread, and her toes brushing the ground, rapidly retreating to avoid Jenna's attack. Jenna snorted coldly and brandished her sword again. Ella took her time avoiding her attack, like a cat playing with a mouse. Finally, she drew out a sword that had been tucked into the waistband of her red gauze dress at the back, and moved to retaliate aggressively. After more than 10 moves, Jenna was gradually getting pushed back, and several times had almost been knocked off the branch by Ella. Even if Jenna was very good, before Ella, who had killed thousands of troops in the past, she was just a child. Jenna thought too highly of herself, and thought that Ella's skills had deteriorated after living in the palace for so long. By the time she helplessly realized that she had underestimated her enemy, it was too late. In the end, Ella had had enough of playing around. With a cold gaze and the might of 10,000 armies, she thrusted the sword at Jenna's chest. Fizz! It was the sound of a sharp weapon piercing flesh. Jenna clutched her chest painfully, and like a broken paper kite, fell from the top of the bamboo sea. The next shot was a close-up of Ella. David was watching Luna's expression attentively, and realized that something wasn't right. "Emma's hurt. Save her. Quick!" Luna, who was still hanging in the air on wires, suddenly shouted. There was a stunned moment before the staff reacted to the fact that this wasn't a line from the script. Emma had really gotten hurt. The scene instantly turned chaotic, and everyone gathered around Emma. After getting Emma down, Luna hastened to press down on the bleeding wound. "Call an ambulance quickly." Just then, her body was suddenly and violently pushed to one side. It was Liam, who had run over in fright. He held Emma tightly in his arms. "Emma! Emma, are you all right?" "Brother Liam, it hurts." "Don't be afraid, I'm here. You'll be fine. You'll definitely be fine." Chapter 132. Luna. "Bloody hell, are you a moron? I'm putting pressure on the wound, you suddenly push me away, then put on a loving face, and watch her bleed out. Are you addicted to soap operas?" If only because it wasn't the right time for it, Luna really wanted to scold him with her hands on her hips. "What's going on?" David ran over with rage on his face. Luna knitted her eyebrows together. "I felt something was off after I thrusted the sword at her, the blade didn't bounce back. This was a prop sword, the blade should have bounced back automatically when it met resistance. Nobody expected such an accident to happen." David was beyond furious. "Where is the props master? Come here this instant." I asked you to double-check them a million times to prevent this kind of mistake. What on earth were you thinking? The props master stumbled over, sweat on his forehead. Director Hopper, it was fine when I checked it, there definitely shouldn't have been any problems. David threw the script directly in his face and roared, then how did this happen? Problems kept happening one by one in this production, and he was reaching the limits of his tolerance. At this moment, James Weather suddenly asked, then who was the last person to handle this prop? It should have been Luna. I gave the sword to her after checking it, and she was practicing with it the whole time after that. It's my fault, I should have checked it one more time before shooting. The props master apologized over and over again. Hearing this, Luna's pupils shrank abruptly. If she still didn't understand what was happening after this, then she was wasting her time in the industry. In that moment, everyone on set had varying expressions. David stared at the props master, and gave Luna a complicated look before finally controlling his temper. We'll talk about this later, get her to the hospital now. Also, block any news about this from leaking out. The First People's Republic Hospital in B City. Yen was with Emma, dealing with her wound inside the ward, while in the corridor outside, Luna leaned against the cold wall, her brain spinning. Emma really was the original little white flower, even her ploys were in a class of their own. Hadn't she been scared she could have been stabbed to death? It was a pity that Luna had held back as soon as she had felt something was wrong. The wound wasn't deep, and at most it was a light injury for Emma, but the consequences of this incident were going to be very troublesome. What she needed to do now was to think of a way to prove her innocence. As Luna was contemplating, suddenly she heard the sound of anxious steps. She had just raised her head when a burning, solid slap landed on her face. Brute! How could you do such a thing to Emma? If you want to hate someone, hate me. I was the one who made her stay in the Ning family. I was the one who loved and pampered her. What wrong has Emma done? The person raved hysterically at her, and looked at her as if they were sworn enemies. Luna wiped away the blood on her mouth, and raised her head to look steadily at the elegant, luxuriously dressed lady before her, her mother. Behind Zhuanglingyu stood Luna's father, Ning Yaohua, who was wearing a similarly hateful look. If Emma is badly injured, I won't let you get away with it. As soon as they had arrived, these two in front of her, one her biological mother, and one her biological father, had hit and threatened her without even asking what had happened at all. Luna had so many malicious things that she could say to them to make them foam at the mouths, but in that moment, she felt like she had been drained of all energy. She didn't say anything, and only looked at them with cold eyes. Chapter 133. Evil Creature. What is with that look? Robert Brown was enraged. Just as he was about to explode, the door to the ward was opened from inside. Robert and Rebecca Sterling forgot about Luna for the moment, and hurriedly went over. Liam, how is Emma? For the time being she's fine, you can go in and see her. Liam looked tired when he answered, then he looked solemnly at Luna, who was standing outside the door with a swollen, red cheek. Rebecca sprang to Emma's bedside, and checked her from head to toe. Mummy's baby, how are you? Does it still hurt? Where does it hurt? Emma smiled weakly. Mom, I'm fine, the doctor said it was only a light injury. Rebecca's heart hurt, and she stroked her hair gently. You are a girl, how can it be okay for you to have such a big scar? If the sword had gone in a little deeper, you could have died. That damn girl, how can she be so evil? You still call her your elder sister. Towards me, elder sister. Emma's expression dimmed, and she forced herself to speak. Dad, Mom, don't blame elder sister, it wasn't her fault, it was a problem with the prop. Robert made a cold hang sound. Silly child, how can you be so naive? That prop was completely fine, how could there have been a problem with it? Then he shouted furiously at Luna, who was still at the door. Beast, why are you still dumbly standing there? Get yourself in here now and apologize to Emma. The indifferent look on Luna's face was like an impenetrable mask. I have nothing to apologize for. If you want an apology from me, fine, get proof. If there is any, even my life I'll give to you. Robert pointed at her with a shaking finger. You still refuse to repent even now. The only reason I'm not investigating it is to give you face. You won't shed a tear until you see a coffin, is that it? Do you really want to make me lose face? In Robert's eyes, face was always the most important thing. Luna laughed coldly. If I really wanted revenge against her, what you would be looking at now is her corpse, then when would you still have a chance to put on this father and daughter drama? Robert banged a table hard. Don't get mouthy with me. Luna, are you going to apologize or not? If you properly acknowledge your mistake and apologize, then leave the entertainment industry. I'll pretend this never happened, but if you insist on this path. Thank you, I'll choose my own path. Luna laughed scornfully and waved one hand before she walked away without a backward glance. Rebecca's face was filled with disbelief. Look at her. I absolutely cannot believe I gave birth to such a wicked thing. Furious, Robert paced in circles. Monster. She's a monster. She makes me so angry. Emma anxiously tried to persuade him. Dad, it's fine, don't be angry at elder sister, it's not good for your health. I already let her get away with it last time, but in the end she did this sort of thing, hurting you with her own hands. Next time she might really kill you. I absolutely cannot leave this as it is. But, Dad. It's fine, leave it to me and don't worry, I'll deal with it. That's right, let your father deal with it, you focus on recovering. Your father will definitely wrap things up satisfyingly for you. Emma's eyes turned red as she struggled not to let her tears fall, her face full of gratitude. Thank you, Mom and Dad, you really don't have to, I'm fine. Liam, who had been silent all this time, patted her shoulder. Emma, you are too kind. But Luna really went too far this time. What Uncle said is right, we absolutely cannot let her do whatever she wants anymore. Chapter 134. It was already very late at night when Luna left the hospital. There was not a single star in the sky, no moon, either, only a few bikers and pedestrians on the street. She admitted that Emma's schemes were really clumsy and had absolutely no technical content, but she still succeeded. She always used the things that she once cared the most to strike her. Like Liam, like her parents. Sometimes she really doubted herself, maybe it was all her fault, she was the lame one, so unbearable that everyone hated her, brittled her, abandoned her. She even doubted if all her efforts and suffers to this day were meaningless. So what if one day she achieved her goal and owned everything, nobody would care in this world, she would still be alone. Luna was lost, wandering on the street, didn't realize a black car with no license plate was following her secretly. When she walked to a place with no one was near, two guys came out of the car swiftly, one covered her face with a wet towel, one tied her up with strings, and dragged her into the car with great strength. The whole process didn't last longer than 5 seconds. When Luna finally recovered her consciousness, she already lost all of her strength, and was tied up tightly, there was no way she could fight back. A weak smile showed up on Luna's pale face. What a rich birthday, first she was set up, then she was kidnapped. The car drove steadily for a long time. There was a black cloth over Luna's eyes, and she didn't know where this car was heading to, no to mention where did these guys come from. Emma's people. Shouldn't be, she already succeeded today, no need to do this. Then who are shy? Whom did she have an issue with recently? Luna couldn't think of anything, she heard one of the two guys, who sat in front, talking on the phone. Hello, Boss Martin, yes, all done, we are on our way, yes, don't worry, we'll deliver her to you on time. She's a knockout, even we have a crush on her. Ha, we don't have the guts to. She's all yours. Luna was shocked, Boss Martin. She suddenly thought about the Pearl Hotel issue, when she accidentally went into the wrong box. Boss Martin was Martin Madrazo. He didn't get what he wanted that day, still not letting it go, and sent people to kidnap her. Luna was more confident about it as she thought about it more, and cursed him on the inside. When she tried to escape, the anesthetic started to kick in. She became more and more unconscious, fell into a complete darkness at last. When Luna got her consciousness back a little, she was still blindfolded. There were two women voices in the room. She couldn't hear that exactly they were talking about. Only felt that they were getting her clothes off and put her into an extremely thin nightgown, and put petal-like things all over her body. Luna felt something was not right. An impatient person like Martin Madraza wouldn't take so long to get a woman he wants, must had her as soon as she was here, and now, got her changed, spread petals, even put perfume on her. Nasty fat pig. Old pervert. Why didn't he just kill her directly? Why all this fuss? Chapter 135. Martin heard that there was a business drinking party that night, and that Theo would be there. He got there early and had specially made a few preparations, but as he had expected from the beginning, Theo really could not be coerced or persuaded. Theo hadn't even glanced at the priceless antique calligraphy painting which he had acquired with difficulty, and when he had looked at the fresh, unplucked girl that had been discreetly sent to him, it was no different to as if he was looking at a cauliflower. Martin was feeling very anxious when his phone rang. "Hello, what took you so long? Is it all done?" "Yes, we have her, we're on our way." "Hurry up. Make sure to get her here in 10 minutes. Room 808, don't get it wrong." "Don't worry, we'll get her to you on time." "TCH, Boss Zhu, this girl is a knockout, even we were moved. If you dare touch her, don't even think about getting the rest of the money. I have an important use for this woman. There better not be even a single hair missing." Not far away on the opposite end, Theo checked the time on his watch, fixed his sleeves, and stood up, looking as if he was ready to leave. At this moment, a man broke the surface of the swimming pool, and tossed his hair, creating a cool and refreshing splash. He had healthy, tan skin, a beautiful six-pack above his belly button, and below it, a mermaid line that countless men enviously wanted. The man lifted his arrogant, handsome face, and with one wet hand, grabbed Theo's leg just as he was about to leave. He said with a dissatisfied air, Hey, Theo, I was the one who organized tonight's event, can't you give me a bit of face? It's only been half an hour and you're leaving. And this is a drinking party, you haven't even had a mouthful since arriving. We have so much wine and women, is there nothing that can make you stay a little longer? Let go." Theo knitted his eyebrows together, and looked like he was going to break his bones in the next second. At this moment, Cleo walked over with a glass of wine in his hand, and laughed, "Brother Jake, can't you tell my brother isn't really here tonight? He already gave you face by staying for 30 minutes. Jake Stu sat on the edge of the swimming pool, a rakish smile on his face. Where could his heart be if it's not here with me? He doesn't have a woman. Cleo had the look of someone about to reveal something shocking as he humphed. Who says he doesn't? He will very soon. What? That's too much. Jake really was shocked, and he straightaway climbed out of the swimming pool, his face full of betrayal. We said we'd be brothers forever, and whoever gets into a relationship first is a dog. Theo gave him an emotionless sideways look. I don't remember agreeing to something so stupid. Cleo couldn't help teasing him. Brother Jake, as a single man, you can fool around as much as you want, but my brother has a son, and he has a responsibility to find him a mother. Then who is the woman? Jake frowned as he asked. Theo checked his watch again, his expression clearly showing his impatience. With long strides, he left just like that, actually ignoring him completely. Fuck. He actually ignored me. Choosing a girl over his sworn brother. Jake cursed behind him. Cleo followed Theo and also took his leave. Compared with a boring wine party, he'd rather see how his brother picked up girls. Hey, brother, are you rushing back because you want to celebrate sister-in-law's birthday? Tell me quickly, what surprise did you prepare for her? I can give you some suggestions. Cleo was chattering non-stop behind Theo when a fat ball suddenly appeared in the corner of his eye. Boss Goldberg, second young master. The man's forehead was wet with sweat. It seemed like he had rushed to catch up to them. Cleo slowly lifted an eyebrow. Yo, CEO Zhu. Why the rush? I'm looking for Boss Goldberg. Martin looked at Theo ingratiatingly, and handed him a thin, golden room key card with both hands. Boss Goldberg, this is my small gift to you, please accept it. It couldn't be more obvious that he had prepared a woman for Theo in the room. Chapter 136. Theo wasn't inclined to deal with anyone at the moment, so to prevent the other party from wasting any more of his time, he took the key card directly, then continued walking ahead with long strides. Martin was relieved to see him accept the card, but was still worried about whether he would actually go or not. Cleo followed behind him with a complicated expression. Wow! Brother, you have some luck with women. You forced Martin into a corner, so he had to prepare something big for you. The woman he found for you must be exceptional. Brother, do you want her or not? But you have sister-in-law already, so you definitely won't even take a look. Then why don't you give the key card to me? I'm really curious about what kind of goddess Martin has found. Theo flicked a finger and in the next second, the key card flew over to Cleo. Cleo caught the card between his two fingers and looked excited, then I'm going. Wow, 808, isn't this the presidential suite? Cleo hummed to himself as he happily headed over to the suite, key card in hand. The elevator reached the top floor, and with one hand in his pocket, Cleo walked towards the room, which was at the end of the corridor. Arriving at the door, he swiped the card, and the door opened with a beep. Before he opened the door, Cleo had an awkward thought. It was only because he was curious that he had come to take a look. What was he going to do if the woman inside fell for him, and wouldn't let him go? Even though he didn't believe in marriage, he was still an honorable man, and would only accept serious relationships. The door finally swung open with a squeak. After opening the door, he saw a king-sized bed covered in red rose petals. A woman was lying in the middle, and through the rose petals, he could tell that the nightgown was transparent. Her long legs were white and slender. These beautiful legs were already enough to make any guy fall head over heels. Martin had really gone all out this time. Cleo took another 2 steps while he was thinking, then he saw the woman's face. Even though her eyes were covered by a white lace cloth, he could still recognize who the woman on the bed was. Holy Mother of F. Cleo was so scared that he jumped and fell backwards, as if he had seen a ferocious beast, and his whole body slammed into the door with a loud sound. Immediately after that, he banged the door shut, and ran like the wind downstairs. He ran wildly to the entrance of the parking garage, and saw Theo's car coming out. He immediately flew over to block the car's path. With a loud screech from the brakes, Theo barely stopped the car in time, and his expression was very ugly. Cleo slapped repeatedly on the car window, and before Theo could open his mouth to lecture him, he dragged him out of the car and urged him on as if their house was on fire. Brother, come with me, quickly. What is it? It's urgent. An urgent matter. Just come with me and you'll find out. There is only one thing I care about now. I know right now you're only thinking about sister-in-law, this has something to do with her. Theo followed him immediately. In this way, the two of them rushed back to Presidential Suite 808. Theo glanced at the door in front of him, his face cold as a glacier. His eyes said that Cleo better have a good explanation for why he had suddenly dragged him here. Cleo wiped his face and opened the electronic lock with a beep. Go see for yourself. Hearing this, Theo's expression changed slightly, and he reacted almost immediately. Could it be the person in the room was? Chapter 137. In the next second, Theo stretched out his arm and quickly pushed the door open, and with one look he was struck dumb. The air quickly became very cold, and the man's eyes were like blades piercing Cleo. Did you see? Cleo was so frightened that he stuck to the doorframe, and said in a weak tone, If I didn't see her, how would I have known she is my sister-in-law? Don't tell me you're jealous over even that. She's covered with petals and I couldn't see anything. Besides, if it wasn't for my curiosity, I wouldn't have realized it was her. Who knows what could have happened to her tonight. No matter what, my merits outweigh my shortcomings, okay. Except for darling little treasure baby, where else can you find as godly an assistant as me? Theo, out. Yes, thank you for your kindness, my lord. Cleo, who had had a narrow escape, immediately and swiftly retreated. He already knew curiosity killed the cat, but even if he had escaped death 10,000 times already, he still couldn't break this bad habit. After Cleo left, Theo immediately closed the door. 10 steps away from the bed, his mind instantly went blank. It was a big, white bed, and covered in red petals atop it was skin white as porcelain. The girl's eyelashes trembled under a strip of lace cloth. A thin layer of sweat made the material, of what she was wearing, cling tightly to her body. Her toes, white as jade, were curled up because of extreme fear and anxiety. This scene was simply cruel torture for Theo, who had endured for a very long time. He felt his throat dry up, and his collar felt so tight he almost couldn't breathe, so he reached up to roughly loosen his tie. Probably because the noise made by the movement was so loud, the girl in the bed was instantly so startled that her whole being began to tremble, and she tried with slight movements to get off the bed. But it seemed she had been drugged, so she had no strength at all. After so much effort, she only moved less than 2 centimeters, and was so tired that she gasped for breath, her chest heaving and the hair at her temples wet with sweat. Such a scene was like a drop of water splashing into boiling oil. As if he was bewitched and under someone else's control, Theo's legs carried him step by step to the bed until he stood beside it. The girl was keenly aware of someone standing by the bed, and she was biting down on her lip hard enough to tear it. She struggled even harder to escape. Theo was in a trance, and he slowly reached out to the girl. The rough pad of one finger finally touched the skin that he had desired for so long, and it felt like the heat traveled through his finger to burn up his whole being. But in the next second, there was a sudden, sharp pain in his finger. The girl had bitten him hard. Bright red blood quickly welled up from the wound on his finger. Seeing the girl's red lips bite down on his finger, even his pain turned to delight. Theo felt he was quickly going crazy. Even the pain didn't clear his head, but in that instant, the girl who had bitten him suddenly lost her strength, and her face showed empty despair. It was like he had been dunked in cold water, and he came to his senses completely. Damn it! What the hell was he doing? He clearly knew how scared she was at that moment, that every minute and every second in darkness was all torture and suffering for her. Theo quickly reached out to remove the lace cloth covering her eyes. The girl's eyelashes flickered violently, then she opened her eyes slowly, like a slow-motion replay of Sleeping Beauty waking up after 1,000 years of deep sleep. Chapter 138. In the next second, the girl opened her eyes completely. In the instant that the man's figure was reflected in her limpid and despairing eyes, she froze in confusion at first, then her eyes quickly misted over with tears, which became large drops that rolled down her face one after another, in a seemingly endless fall. Luna. Theo was completely flustered by the girl's tears. What's wrong? Where does it hurt? I'm sorry I'm late, don't cry. I'll take you to the hospital, please don't cry. His heart almost stopped beating. Luna's eyes were red and her tears still wouldn't stop flowing. She stretched out her hands but dropped them halfway. Do you want to get up? Theo immediately leaned over to help her sit up. As he was about to help her off the bed, the girl suddenly put her arms around his neck and burrowed her head in his shoulder. She cried hard, her body shaking and her tears quickly making his clothes wet as they flowed down his neck. Theo's heart felt like it had been stabbed. He patted her gently on the back with one wide palm, as if he was handling fragile glass. Don't be afraid, it's all right now, it's all right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because of the extreme panic and fear, Luna cried for over 10 minutes before she stopped, then started to hiccup. Theo patiently helped her to smooth out her breathing, but he was afraid to startle her, so he didn't dare move his stiff body. After a long time, Luna finally calmed down, and said hoarsely in his ears in a soft and helpless voice, "Luckily it's you." she said, "Luckily it's you." These words struck him hard in his heart, and echoed over and over again. Maybe she herself didn't realize it, but somehow along the way, she had already come to trust him so much. With some effort, Luna gave him a slight, bitter smile as she said disjointedly, "Theo, you don't know, it's been a really bad day for me, before I saw you. I was already doubting my life, I was already giving up on this world." She had thought that she was indestructible, and that nothing could keep her down, but when what happened that night 5 years ago had been about to happen again, she couldn't take it anymore, and broke down. She had already thought about it, that even if Martin didn't use her himself, he would definitely give her to some other person. Birds of a feather flocked together, so any man who mixed around with Martin would definitely be even more disgusting than him. At this moment, she was so glad that her guess had been wrong. She never expected that the person Martin wanted to please would actually be Theo. Theo's eyes flashed with murderous intent, but when he spoke, his voice was gentle. "I'm sorry, I'm the one who got you involved. I only meant to rescue you that night, but Martin misunderstood the situation. I never anticipated that he would do such a thing. How can I blame you? You did it to help me." Only then did Luna realize that she was still leaning against his shoulder, and she tried to get up as she said embarrassedly, "I'm sorry, I've dirtied your clothes." The girl knelt there with tears on her cheeks. Without the petals to cover her, the material she was wearing was so thin, it was as if she was wearing nothing at all. Theo coughed slightly and looked away. "It's fine." Luna's body shook as soon as she stood up, and Theo quickly steadied her. "Are you all right? I'll take you to the hospital." Luna blushed and she shook her head. "It's no use going to the hospital for this type of drug." That. Theo, can I ask one thing of you?" Chapter 139. "What?" Theo's nerves became tightened subconsciously. "That piece of cloth for blindfolding, can you use it to blindfold me again?" Luna requested in a low voice. A look of startle flickered across Theo's face. "Why?" Luna said with resignation. "Because, out of sight, out of mind." Although the remark of Luna was very inexplicable, but Theo understood instantly. With a slight cough, he picked up the white lace cloth that had been thrown to the ground, gently covered her eyes and tied it. The desire inside Luna's body flamed up the instant Theo came near, so she hurried to silently read, "Null is 0 and sex is 0. The turmoil in her body slightly calmed down until he had a safe distance from her, and her eyes became dark again. If the one who came was a wretched sick man like Martin, but it was Theo. For her who had had aphrodisiac, Theo was a catalyst that infinitely amplified the drug effect, and could make her have lethal chemical reaction. "Is it okay?" asked Theo. Luna nodded. "I have another thing need to bother you. I have no strength at all. Would you please help me go to the bathroom? It'll be okay for me to take a cold bath." "Wait a minute. I'll get you water first." "Thanks." The sound of a crash in the bathroom was clear and audible in the quiet room. It was the same situation that her eyes couldn't see, but she felt matchlessly secure. A moment later, the sound of water stopped, and the sound of footsteps came into his ear. "Can you walk?" asked Theo. "I should be okay. Just help me up." Theo stretched out his arm to help her up, and very considerately kept distance with her, only using arms to touch her. After the body of Luna finally dipped into the cold water, she sighed comfortably. Theo became nervous. "I'm going out first. If you have something, you can call me. Don't bath too long to catch a cold." "Okay." Theo turned away and left. His figure was in some haste and discomfiture, as if he was running away. After going out, Theo pulled the hotel door open, and then saw a figure who fell flop in the room without being supported. When Theo climbed up and slapped his butt, he peered into the house, behaving stealthily like a thief. "Oh heh, I just worry about you, just worry, absolutely don't want to gossip." Theo, who seemed to have expected he would hide at the door, said in a cold voice, "Fetch me the papers in the car." Cleo's mouth opened like an "Oh. Brother, do you make a mistake? You're going to read papers in this case. Are you a man?" Theo gave him a glance flashing with knives and swords. "Need I prove to you?" "No, no, no. You needn't. I'll go at once." At once, the proving method of his brother must be especially masculine beating. After bringing the papers upstairs, Cleo listened to the faint sound of water, sighing with extreme grief. What cold bath! Be decisive and be the antidote for her in person. What a waste! Too wasteful. Theo, you can leave now. Actually, I don't want to leave. Actually, I want to stay with you each spring, summer, autumn, and winter. When Cleo sang, he incomparably wistfully left. Back in the room, Theo tried hard to ignore the blurry figure behind the frosted door in the bathroom, and forced himself to focus on the papers in his hand. Well, it was rather efficient. He had read 2 pages for half an hour. Just then, there came a sudden cry of Luna in the bathroom. Theo. Chapter 140. Theo. Theo. Theo quickly dropped the things in his hands, and ran to the bathroom door. Luna, what's the matter? Theo. I'm here. Come in. Go in. Hurry up. Hurry up. Ah. What's wrong? Theo's tone became more and more nervous, but he didn't dare to rashly open the door. I have a cramp in my leg. Hurry up and help me. Ouch. Theo face-palmed, both relieved and resigned, and hurriedly opened the door to enter. Because the water was cold and there was no steam inside, her wet clothes were completely transparent, and Theo's Adam's apple bobbed slightly. Although he wasn't drugged, the extent of his suffering at the moment was not any less than Luna's. Theo. Theo. Luna's urging brought him back to his senses, and he quickly walked over. Which leg? Right leg, right leg. Luna's face was white with pain. Theo stopped thinking so much, and promptly took hold of her ankle with one hand and stretched and massaged her thigh with the other. How is it? No good, no good. It's still cramping. Harder. What about now? Ah. It hurts. Softer. Is it all right now? Almost, almost. In just a few minutes, Theo was wet through with sweat. Exhausted, he gently lowered her leg. In the next second, out of the corner of his eye, Theo suddenly noticed that there were several harsh, red marks on her torso and legs, and his face instantly turned cold. What is that on your body? Did Martin Madrazo hurt you? On my body? Luna subconsciously stroked where it ached on her thigh. Do you mean here? These are from the suspension wires today. Only then did Theo's face relax, but then he frowned. I'll buy you some medicine. Saying that, he looked at her in concern. Come out of the bath any longer and you'll get sick. Luna subconsciously pulled herself a little further under the water, and stretched out 10 fingers. 10 minutes. Give me 10 more minutes. I was almost ready earlier, but then you came in, so. Theo. All right. Theo left the bathroom, and opened the door of the hotel room again. Sure enough, Cleo rolled inside again. Theo. Cleo. Cleo got up in a second and bowed. I'm sorry, brother, I'll leave at once. Wait, go downstairs and help buy me some medicine. Theo stopped him. What medicine? Cleo wagged his big tail. There was an ambiguous expression on his face. For swelling and bruising, something like that. Cleo's eyes instantly lit up like a light bulb. Brother, did you finally demonstrate your prowess? Theo stared coldly at him. Cleo, I'm sorry, I was wrong. How can you do so in such a short period of time? Your humble servant will run errands at once. In less than 5 minutes, Cleo came running back with the medicine he bought, and he said brazenly, Brother, how about you let me directly guard the door, and I'll run errands for you anytime you need it. Theo looked sideways at him. If I see you again for the 3rd time. The consequences will be very severe. Cleo could only sigh regretfully, then he slyly took a small, square box out of his pocket. Brother, I also bought this, it's definitely better than whatever the hotel has to offer. Are you sure you don't need it? Ouch. Cleo was kicked out.